Spurge here, and in this video we are going to break down the new STACYC 18eDrive and 20eDrive Pro electric balance bikes. Now, if you remember back to the original STACYC video with the 16e and the 12e bikes, these are something that I have been an early adopter with. I got them for my nephew when he turned 3, and now, a few years later, I just had my 4th nephew. So not only is Jimmy Dunbar and Samantha, keeping me busy with 2 nephews on their side, Joshua Dunbar and his wife Emily they just had their 2nd child. So what's exciting about this is I've got a little fleet of the baby 12e and 16e STACYCs that I have for my nephews there. But now STACYC is introducing larger bikes. So as nephews and nieces and sons and daughters everywhere get larger, they have something to move up to. And what I will tell you right off the bat is that while there is a larger price increase with these, and there is a weight limit of 115 pounds per se, they scoot. And I know that from experience of just kind of doing laps around the parking lot. So we'll get into all the nitty gritty, but if you are already familiar with the 12e and the 16e STACYCs, this is going to be the newer iteration for larger children out there. So just starting off very basic, the 12eDrive and the 16eDrive come in around the $800 price point, or the $1,000 price point. Those are for smaller kids. There's a separate video on those. You can go check those out. The 2 that you're going to see right here, the 18eDrive, and the 18 stands for an 18-inch wheel. This is going to be for you riders out there ages 8 to 10 years old with roughly a 21 to a 23-inch inseam. Again, they're saying about 115 pounds. This is going to have a straight steel front fork. This is coming in around the $2,600 mark, $2,650 I believe is full MSRP. And then when you get up into the 20eDrive Pro, this is going to be 20-inch wheels. You're going to have a telescopic front fork on this one. And this is going to be for kids 11 to 13 years old with a 24 to 26-inch inseam. Now, the main construction throughout, and the price on this one is $3,100. So these are going to be a bigger bump in price over what we've seen previously with the 12e and the 16e. However, this is a completely different battery, completely different motor than what we've seen in the previous versions. And these things have amazing torque. So we'll get to that. But the things that are gonna be similar is you're gonna have an aluminum frame. The wheel sizes, again, are different, respective to the number that goes along with the title. You're gonna have 3 different power modes. So in the lowest power mode, they'll scoot about 9 to 10 miles an hour, and they call that the training mode. When you get up into the intermediate mode, that's about 13 to 15 miles an hour. And then when you get up into the full speed, you're looking at upwards of 20 miles an hour. And really the biggest difference that I've seen from STACYC compared to some of the competitors out there that we've had a chance to ride is the initial torque. It's not about the fact that this will go 20 miles an hour, it's more about how quickly it will get you to 20 miles an hour. And again, that's with the stock gearing on these particular bikes. They are a regular chain drive, the way you would see in a bicycle, and then you've got disc brakes at the front and the rear, and they're cable actuated disc brakes, and the levers are adjustable. So I was actually playing around with this one earlier, and you can adjust the levers to where you want it to sit for your hand and how you want that brake to feel. So pretty sophisticated technology for a pedalless bicycle. And again, these are really going to be balance bikes, as STACYC's calling them, because there is no way to pedal these the way some e-bikes are. This is essentially an electric motorcycle for your kids. And that has been what we've been so excited about. It's what I've been so excited to get my nephews into. There's now little racing leagues that are developing around these. And we're seeing kids as young as 2 to 3 years old getting onto electric power balance bikes and really learning the feel of a throttle and a braking system the same way you would have in a motorcycle with no shifting. So this is going to be a twist throttle the same way it is on the smaller STACYCs. And the other piece here too is that everything on this is replaceable, from the tires to the tubes to the gearing, the batteries. You do get to be able to replace all of these. Now, When we're talking about the batteries will differ depending on which one you're looking at, and this is going to be a new 40-volt battery. This is different than the previous ones that we've seen. Replacement batteries for this will range between $325 and $350. And again, this is a much larger battery than what we've seen from the previous version. So let's talk about the 18E for a second, which is the one on my right-hand side. So this is going to come stock with a 3 amp hour battery. So roughly 30 to 45 minutes of riding time, depending on the size and the weight of the child using it. The battery does take about an hour and a half to charge. So, what I've done with some of the smaller STACYCs that I have is I have just a spare battery that I swap out, and that usually gives enough ride time for the kids while you charge up the previous battery. These batteries are more expensive than the other version. So again, you're looking at around $325, $350 for a replacement battery. The battery on the 18 is that smaller battery. So again, 30 to 45 minutes of charge time. This is going to have a straight front fork, so you're not getting the telescopic front fork on this. And then this is, again, recommended for kids 8 through 10 with a 21 to 23 inch inseam. The seat height is adjustable. So if you get it for a smaller kid, you can raise the seat height up and it grows a little bit with them. Now, bumping over to the 20E, we talked about the telescopic front fork. The other thing that this one gets is this is going to get a 6 amp hour battery. So you're looking at about 30 to 60 minutes of full riding time with this. It is going to be about 3 hours in charge time. You are going to have double the amp hours in batteries with this. 31 pounds is the weight for the 18-inch, 33 pounds for the 20-inch with the larger battery and the extra hardware on the suspension and larger wheels. Again, this is going to be a big step up from what we've seen from STACYC. For me, it is the torque that sets it apart. I have been very pleased with the 12 and the 16E as a personal owner. They hold up to abuse well. The only thing that I've really had a problem with on the smaller 12E is getting the rear tire inflated because the valve stem sits in such a way that it's really hard to get that inflated. So, a right angle adapter for that one was a bit of a necessity. And then changing tires on it, the rear mechanism is a bit tricky to take apart the first time that you do it. So if you are changing tires, which, when you have kids out there that are slamming on the rear brakes and sliding around sideways, once you teach them how to do it, that does become a reality. So just keep in mind that, that rear mechanism is a bit more challenging to take apart than a standard bicycle would be for changing tires. But other than that, installation is super easy. A couple of hand tools and you can get these put together in about 15 minutes. They do ship in a large box, and then you're responsible for kind of running the brake cables and the handlebar assembly and things like that. But for the most part, I found that, assembly is super simple. You can do it in your living room on, the eve of a holiday like Christmas and or a birthday. And, once the kids go to bed, you can assemble it and leave it, under the tree or the menorah or whatever it is that you're gifting someone a STACYC for. So I personally have been very pleased with these. I really have no complaints with these new versions based on what we've seen so far, aside from the fact that, cost is going up. We now have a bike that makes more power. You're looking at top speeds, that are north of 20 miles an hour, and the battery technology here is a bit more sophisticated. The motor is a bit more sophisticated than what we've seen in these smaller versions. But I will say, based on how much my nephews have enjoyed the 16 and the 12Es that they're currently ripping around on, it's great to see that STACYC has now made the next size up for them to enjoy as well. And maybe my brothers and I will enjoy this ourselves to a certain extent. So if you want more information on the STACYC 18eDrive and 20eDrive Pros, you can check out the product page. You can read other rider reviews from folks that have already got this for their kids in their life. Or if you have more questions as to which of these balance bikes is right for the youngster in your life, you can always reach out to our customer service team and they can walk you through all the different options available within the STACYC line. I want to thank you for joining us today for this look at the 12eDrive as well as the 20eDrive Pro. I'm Spurge. Enjoy the ride.